All right, let's dive into the ultimate rule book for the Silver State, the Nevada Constitution. Now, this isn't just some old, dusty document. Nope, this is the living, breathing blueprint that shapes everything from our individual rights to the power we hold as citizens. So let's break it all down.
Think about your phone or your computer for a second. What makes it all work? It's the operating system, right? The core programming that sets all the rules. So what's the OS for an entire state? What's the fundamental code that runs Nevada?
You got it. It's the state constitution. And I really want to stress, this is the active running code for our state. It's what tells the government what it can and can't do. It's what protects your rights, and it literally structures our daily lives here.
So here's our game plan. We're going to look at the governing blueprint, starting with the fundamental rights it gives you. Then we'll see how it puts power directly in your hands, check out some rules you'll only find in Nevada, and finally, talk about why this document is always evolving. And hey, as we go, if you're enjoying this explainer, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share and like our work. It means a ton. Thank you.
So where does this all begin? Well, interestingly, it doesn't start with the government. It starts with you. Article 1 of the Constitution is the Declaration of Rights, and it lays the foundation for everything else that follows.
This one line is, well, it's everything. It's the philosophical heart of the whole system. It sets up a really clear pecking order. Power doesn't come down from the government to the people. No, it flows up from the people to the government. Everything the government does is based on that principle.
And, of course, to make sure the people can hold on to that power, the Constitution guarantees the right to freedom of speech in the press. This is what ensures that all of us can debate, we can criticize, we can share ideas, all without worrying about government blowback. It's absolutely essential.
And you know, this isn't just about big, old-fashioned principles. Just look at this section here. It lays out a whole list of very specific, very modern rights for victims of crime. Things like being treated with fairness and being heard in court. It just goes to show how the Constitution adapts to deal with real, modern-day issues.
Okay, so the Constitution protects your rights. That's huge. But it goes even further than that. It actually gives you some serious, active power. Let's look at the tools that literally put you in the driver's seat. Nevada's Constitution is big on what's called direct democracy. Now, that's a fancy term, but it just means that you, as a citizen, don't have to sit around and wait for politicians. You have the power to propose laws yourself, to reject laws that the legislature passes, and even to fire an elected official.
So how does that even work? Well, take the initiative process. You can actually write a new law yourself. If you get enough signatures on a petition, it goes straight to the legislature. And here's the kicker. If they don't pass it within 40 days, it doesn't die. It goes directly onto the ballot for every Nevadan to vote on. You can completely bypass the politicians.
And what about this number, 25%? What's that all about? Well, that is the threshold for one of the most powerful tools you have. If you can get 25% of the voters from the last election to sign a petition, you can trigger a special election to recall or remove a public official from office.
You know, every state's rulebook has its own little quirks and unique features that reflect its history. So let's look at a few provisions that feel, well, uniquely Nevadan.
Staying true to its Silver State roots, the Constitution gets really specific about mining. Article 10 flat out requires a tax on the net proceeds from all minerals. It's a rule written right into the source code to make sure that the incredible wealth coming out of the ground benefits everyone in the state.
Here's another one that might surprise you. Article 4 makes it clear the state of Nevada itself is forbidden from running a lottery. But it carves out a very specific exception, allowing the legislature to give the green light to things like raffles or drawings, but only if they're run by charitable or nonprofit groups. Now, this is a perfect example of citizens using that power we were just talking about. The voters themselves amended the Constitution to create this renewable energy mandate. It forces electric utilities to use more and more renewables over time, with the goal of hitting 50% by 2030. That's direct democracy in action.
And all of this brings us to what might be the most crucial point of all. This rulebook, it is not set in stone. It was designed from day one to be a living document, something that can change and adapt right alongside the people of Nevada.
I mean, just think about it. Since it was first written way back in 1864, it's been amended many, many times. Every single one of those changes is like a snapshot in time, reflecting what Nevadans cared about and what they needed from their government at that moment. It's built to be updated.
And this timeline just drives that point home.
You can see the evolution right here. Major shifts, from a voting rights amendment in 1880 to adding those powerful tools of initiative and recall in 1912, and bringing it all the way into the modern era with a Voters' Bill of Rights added in 2020. Every single one of these was a moment when Nevadans decided it was time to update their own rulebook.
Which really brings this all back to a final question for you. Since the power to change this document, to amend it, ultimately rests with the people, with you, what do you think is next? If you could add one new rule to Nevada's operating system, what would it be?